Michael Clark.
Good morning, Your Honor. Raymond Cook for the people.
Your Honor, Joe Simon on behalf of Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, state your name. That's Michael for future here.
My name is Michael Clark.
Thank you. And I appreciate you bending down for the microphone, but they're very sensitive, so they didn't pick you up. All right, it's okay. No, I understand why you did that. Okay, this date time set for trial. Ready?
We're ready to proceed. We do have a preliminary matter that the court probably is likely going to guess what it is, but address that at the right time.
We have.
Well, I'm not guessing anything, but go ahead.
We've mutually sequestered our own witnesses.
Oh, sorry.
And asked formally that get ordered, but we've already done it.
And that was my request also, Your Honor.
All right. Witnesses are hereby ordered to sequester, and you have done so. All right. Opening statements.
Thank you. Would the court prefer that I speak from the table or from the bench, or
Either is fine.
go to the podium? Your Honor, I'm sure the court is aware of the charges today of stalking, domestic relations, as well as domestic violence, as well as the elements of those and what the people need to prove. As just a brief opening, the testimony that I expect the court to hear today, I plan on calling 2 lay witnesses, as well as potentially 2 police officers. Specifically, I plan on calling the victim, in this case, Payton Tropha, as well as another individual by the name of Angel Lewis. The testimony and the evidence that I expect the court to hear will be that the defendant and Miss Tropha were in a dating relationship for a relatively short amount of time, and that Payton wanted to end that relationship and told the defendant in no uncertain terms multiple times that she did not want to talk to him anymore and that she hoped he would respect that and do the same. Nonetheless, the defendant continued to message Miss Tropha, continued to message Payton, and would leave coffee or left coffee for her in her workplace locker and approached her at work. And that during one of these incidents of unconsented contact, the defendant chased after the victim, causing her to be afraid of what he might do to her. And is that chase that would form the basis for count 2, the domestic violence. I would ask, after the court hears all the testimony, considers all the evidence in this case, the court would find a verdict of guilty.
Yeah.
Today we're stepping into a courtroom where Michael Clark faces serious stalking and domestic violence allegations. The prosecution claims he continued contacting Payton after their relationship ended, left coffee in her workplace locker, approached her at work, and eventually chased her, leaving her afraid. But the defense quickly signals that the allegations may be exaggerated, setting up a battle over conflicting versions of events and what the evidence will actually prove.
Mr. Simon.
Your Honor, some of these facts are not going to be contested. Some of the proofs are going to be pretty consistent, but there's going to be a general theme we think the evidence will lead you to of a highly embellished presentation of allegations. This goes from the stalking charge to the DV as well. One of the things that you're going to hear, Your Honor, is when Mr. Cook said there was a relatively short dating relationship. That actually isn't true. This dating relationship lasted months. We're going to have evidence to establish that. And yet, when reported to the police, Ms. Tropha told them that it was less than 1 month. And it was trying to, we believe the evidence will show, characterize the relationship as something different than it was to push forward this allegation. Interestingly, you're going to hear that she didn't even report the matter to the police, and we're going to argue that nothing here amounted to criminal behavior. She reported it to HR, and HR advised her, you'll hear, to call the police and make a report. When the police came, she told them things that were not so. The duration of the relationship being much shorter, that my client did creepy things even before they started dating, that he sort of in a creepy and stealthy way manipulated the work schedule so that they could be on the same shift. That was absolutely what she said. The implication was my words of sneaky and stealthy, but she used the word creepy. We're going to present evidence that's exactly false, that my client didn't do that. Ms. Tropha did it. Ms. Tropha switched the schedules. She told the police 2 things about that. She said, number one, he did that. And number two, he did that before we started dating. And number three, I think I said two things. Number three, she couldn't do it. She didn't have the status, as she described herself, as a D-lister. Well, we're going to refute all three things. She made the switch. She had the ability to do it by using friendships. And lastly, they were dating at the time. In addition, she told the police, you know, he kept sending me gifts after we broke up. You'll hear evidence that my client ordered gifts shortly before Valentine's Day while they were dating, and that he had ordered them and told her, they're coming, just don't throw them away. He didn't continually order her anything. Your Honor, this breakup occurred on February 5th. The last contact from my client to Ms. Tropha was February 12th. That's 1 week, but I'm going to now go backward and then forward. I'll go backward, middle, then forward. Here's what you're going to hear. They had a very good and strong relationship right up until February 4th. On February 4th, when nobody really knows how it happened, my client's ex, I don't want to say girlfriend because she wasn't much of a friend, his ex, mother of his children, somehow got Ms. Tropha's contact. And she said, to interfere with their relationship, he's been cheating on you. He slept with me last month. This was false, and we'll establish that it was false. And that caused Ms. Tropha very big trust concerns, as you may imagine. She expressed that. They had several phone calls, FaceTimes after their work shift, and she left it with, you know what, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm out. You know how important trust was to me, and that's it. She also left him with another message, and this is a key. On February 5th, you can fight for this, but I won't. You can continue to fight for this, but I won't. Now, she also asked for some space. The uncontested evidence was my client did exactly that. Gave her some space. Didn't have any contact with her until February 7. On February 7, they had gotten off work at pretty much the same time. My client's shift was extended by 30 minutes. I think Ms. Tropha will characterize that as he waited for her. But we challenged that. We're going to hear evidence that they got off at the same time. He saw her in the parking lot. He walked to her car, not ran. And the court may remember, we don't have video evidence of that parking lot, even though it existed. The court may remember that I'd requested that and it was recycled, et cetera. And so we don't have that. But what you'll hear is he knocked on her window. Can we talk? She got out of the car. They had a pleasant conversation. It ended with her not changing her position. He follows that up with a text message. These are the exhibits you're going to get. And the text message was, I'm sorry, I'm trying to respect your space. This is just so hard. I'm doing what you're asking. In that text series, we're going to ask you to focus on one thing. You said I could try and you wouldn't. She said, when I said that you could try and I wouldn't, that meant I'm not trying to reconcile this. And no matter what you do from now, there will be no second chances. He said, and she ended that with, that's all I have to say, leave me alone. And he said, well, I didn't understand that's what you meant by you could try. That will be an exhibit you'll receive. After that, he didn't talk to her or do anything until February 10. A lone text message. Have a nice day. I miss you. Good morning. Have a nice day. I miss you. That's February 10. The entirety of the case will be from that text message, have a nice day, I miss you, to the next day, which is February 11. On February 11, they were at work at the same time. This is where the facts will really be disputed. Ms. Tropha will say that my client approached her, that she repeatedly told him she didn't want to talk to him, and that he chased her down, chased her into the parking lot, that he chased after her and to the point that it caused her to feel unsafe. She notified a supervisor, and the supervisor, she documented with the supervisor. Here's what you'll hear on the other side, Your Honor. Number one, you'll hear that my client never chased her, only tried to approach her for really two reasons. Number one, an epilogue on a text exchange of, when am I going to get my stuff? That happened on February 7th. A misunderstanding of her 30-minute time window from when he could pick up his stuff from her residence. He thought, are you leaving it on the lawn? I may not be able to get there in time. He lives in Hillsdale and she lived locally. And he was worried about the time frame. They showed each other their messages. No, look, this is what you said. Oh, yeah. And then what you'll hear is that she walked away. He walked after her. She went to her ambulance rig to start her shift. He followed her out there, wanting to continue the conversation. She didn't want to. She drove her rig back to the port. He walked back up to her, not ran, walked, and handed her something she dropped, a device for her shift. Held it up to the door. She opened the door. She grabbed it. That was it. There was no more contact between them. Supervisor contacted my client, said the same supervisor that Ms. Tropha contacted said, hey, listen, Michael, it's your best interest to just let this go. No more contact, no more thing at work. And he said, okay. And he said, I'm going to sit here in my car until she goes away, and then I'll leave and I'll be fine. He abided that advice. He abided that advice. It was not an order, but it was advice. The only thing he said was, but wait a minute, we have an arrangement to get my stuff the next day on February 12th. He said, that's fine. There was a brief exchange in text on the 12th that she replied to as well about the stuff. Where's my key? It's in your locker, that kind of thing. That's it. Oh, I forgot, Your Honor. February 11, my client did put a coffee and say, have a nice day, or words to that effect, in her locker. And the thing about that is they put things in their lockers all the time. She put stuff in his locker as a gift. He would put stuff in there too, but maybe that was not wanted. But that's it, Your Honor. February 10, the loan text and the events of February 11. Now on February 11, I have spent so much time trying to get video, and I showed Mr. Cook today. I don't think I can authenticate this and admit it as an exhibit. I finally got from a Honigman lawyer representing HVA last night. I can show date stamps and time stamps, some video that of February 11th. The other incident is gone, long gone. I showed it to Mr. Cook, and it has gaps. It's a weird system. It leaps forward 30 seconds every now and then. I'm going to be using that video to refresh witnesses' recollections because I don't have a witness to authenticate it as an exhibit. In lieu of bringing a witness here, they said, here's your video, kind of thing, in response to my subpoena. But then, Your Honor, there was one more contact. Not to my client, to her. She went on a vacation. That's why he ordered the Valentine's gifts ahead of time. He knew she was going on a vacation, and she was with a mutual friend on the vacation. He contacted the mutual friend. He said, can I talk to you? What's up? And why did he do that? He got the smoking gun. He got the evidence that showed his ex lied about everything. Do you think Payton would want this? I'm condensing. The exchanges were longer. And she responded basically, no, she wouldn't want it. We already know. That knocked him off his socks. He was in disbelief. How could that be? And then Payton got on. Payton took the phone and said, hey, this is me. I already know you're all a bunch of lunatics. F off. With that, he knew that even by clearing his good name, if you will, and by getting the truth out there, there was no reason to ever communicate with her again. And he didn't, and he never even tried. She came back from vacation. She had the meeting with HR that was scheduled before she went on vacation. They said, make a police report. The police came out, and she told the police a very different story, as I've outlined. The police left that day, you'll hear, with an admonition to each of them. Now, she's not a party to the case, so they can't make orders, but it was advice. Don't contact each other. My client abided. But you'll hear evidence that she called my client that very night. That very night, the day she reported, which is February 22nd, 2026, about 5 hours after the report, she called him. He let it ring through. He wasn't on a bond condition, but if he had been on a bond condition, what would Your Honor have instructed a defendant? Don't even answer the phone. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't answer it. It rang multiple times. Was his heart a flutter? Yeah. Did he probably want to answer it? Yeah, but he didn't. No voicemail was left, but we'll provide evidence of the call. That was told to the police, by the way. No epilogue investigation on that. There was one more contact, Your Honor. And I think that I'm offering this to show Ms. Tropha's state of mind, because one of the key elements here is, did she feel actual harassment? That call, I think, is going to be excellent evidence of why that isn't so. But another thing happened in April of this year, where either Ms. Tropha directly or Ms. Tropha's roommate at her direction did something to my client's locker to harass him at work. And there's such specificity with what they did to the locker that the information that was there could only have come from Ms. Tropha. It was populated with the case number, and such a specific case number, including the case codes, the SM at the end. It was populated with the next court date for pretrial, April 20th. It was populated with the date of the complaint. It was populated with such information that only one real person really could have. Oh, well, I mean, there are public records, but the inference will be very strong, beyond reasonable doubt. We say, even though we don't have that burden, that was at her direction or she did that directly. Again, that's April 8th of 2026. This all goes to the state of mind that we asked the court to consider. This is not anything other, we'll argue, than a sudden shift, an end of a relationship that put somebody into a funk and a broken heart, who wanted to salvage his good name in his relationship, the person that he loved, for a short period of time, that never achieved criminal behavior. And Ms. Tropha's own actions demonstrate that that's not how she earnestly felt about it either. Something funny happened when she talked to the police. She tried to slant it in a very different way, and then she became very invested as a victim. And that's why she did what she did in April of 2026. The good news is I think we're going to have enough evidence to support our theories, Your Honor, and that's why we will eventually. Oh, I should ask, I didn't even address the DV. Now, I don't even understand the DV charge. I've never understood the DV charge. I don't think you're going to hear one piece of evidence to support that charge.
And I don't mean to interrupt.
I was done.
Okay. That's shocking. Oh, I'm kidding. Is it your understanding that there's a domestic violence charge?
Yes, Your Honor. I see 2 counts on the complaint. Count 1 being stalking, domestic relationship, and count 2 being domestic violence.
I have, when obviously unclear to me when it came for authorization for the magistrate, there's no probable cause as to count.
I felt that way from day one, so I didn't know that.
That was not reflected in our notes, so I was not aware of that, but I appreciate the court letting me know that the people would be willing, the people are still able to proceed on the complaint as it was found by the magistrate.
Okay. It's just the one count of the stalking.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. And I didn't say formally for the record. That was the conclusion of my formal remarks, and we'll be asking the court to find a verdict. Thank you.
Can they call your first witness?
Called Payton Tropha.
This is where the defense begins tearing into the prosecution's version of events. The attorney argues that the allegations were embellished and challenges the timeline, messages, relationship, and workplace encounters. Then the courtroom takes a surprising turn when the defense questions the domestic violence charge and says there is virtually no evidence supporting it. Even more shocking, the judge reveals that he believed there was no probable cause for that count, creating a major twist before the victim even takes the stand.
Please come forward and be sworn.
Sound swear from the testimony about giving you the truth, the whole truth. Thanks.
Tropha, Payton, last name T-R-E,
All right, you may inquire.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you doing? I'm going to be asking you a few questions here, and just as some background, do you know an individual by the name of Michael Clark? How do you know that individual? What relationship did you and that individual have?
It was just a friendship, and then
When you say you had a relationship for about a month, what sort of relationship are you talking about? Do you know roughly when that relationship began? And when did that relationship end? And this individual, Michael Clark, do you see him in the courtroom today? Can you please point to him and identify him by an article of clothing that he's wearing? Mr. Simons, I believe, is blue. So if the record may reflect that those witnesses identified the defendant.
That objection record still so reflect.
No.
Payton, how would you describe the breakup in the romantic relationship between you and the defendant?
while we were together, initially things were normal in a normal relationship. We have been arguing a lot throughout the relationship, and it had ended over time.
Who ended the relationship? Why did you end that relationship?
I had been reached out to and was told that he was cheating on me. So
What day did you end the relationship? Do you remember? When you ended the relationship, was that the end of the contact between you and the defendant? How did that contact continue?
mainly over text. And then the text messages that manages about one thing that
Do you remember what day you blocked the defendant?
even was the 12th for a little bit for that, whenever the text messages had stopped pretty much.
Showing defense counsel with the Marcus People proposed exhibit 1. I showed this to defense counsel earlier today as well. May I approach the witness?
May.
Ma'am, I'm handing you a copy of what's been marked as People's proposed exhibit 1. For the record, that is a 17-page document. Can you please look through that document and let me know if you recognize what it is? What is this document or these documents?
Is conversation organized around like the last.
Looking on page 1, does this document indicate when these text messages are from? When?
The first one is
And flipping through, are you able to see what date other text messages are sent? And specifically going to the last page, what does the last text message give or indicate as far as a date that that's sent?
February 12th.
And have you reviewed these texts prior to testifying today? are the texts contained within this document the full dialogue between yourself and the defendant's text messages between February 5th and February 12th? Your Honor, I move to admit what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 1.
Any objection or what?
No.
Okay, exhibit 1 is admitted.
May I approach to publish to the court?
Yes, you.
Ma'am, looking at the text messages, there are some text messages that are in blue and some that are back with gray. Which text messages are the ones that you sent? All right. And so starting with page 1, that long blue message, just for clarity, you sent that one? All right. Looking at these text messages, how many times did you tell the defendant that you did not want to talk to him?
Throughout the text messages, there's a lot of different times that I had explained that I did not want to anyone. Even 4 times.
Did the defendant abide by that request not to talk to you anymore? How did it make you feel when the defendant continued to text you after you told him not to?
I continuously asked him to leave me alone. I felt that obviously that request was not, accepted. It made me feel very
What about it made you scared?
When I had to not talk to anyone, I felt like I would never get that piece of being able to be with her in the situation.
What about the 11th specifically made you scared?
When he followed me out into the parking lot,
Where do you work? Is that at 1200 State Circle? Is that here in Pittsfield Township, Washtenaw County, state of Michigan? You said something happened that day. Were you working that day? What shift were you working? Was the defendant working that day? What shift was he working? Do you know? What happened at work that made you concerned?
I was in our resupply room and he had attempted to come up to me and talk to me. And I said like multiple times that I did not want to talk to him. I wanted to be left alone. And I had texted my supervisor and asked him what I should do, as I had been reporting to my supervisor about everything that was happening. Because there was already HR involved, so I was just making sure they knew everything that was going on. And I had left out the back door of resupply after I had texted my supervisor.
I want to focus on what happened in that resupply room. You said the defendant tried to talk to you. Do you know what the defendant was trying to talk to you about?
He wanted to talk about the breakup and he just wanted to talk.
Do you remember specifically what the defendant said? Was there anyone else in the resupply room with you? Who?
And one other person that I don't remember his name, but he.
And by the company, which company is that? When the defendant approached you in that resupply room, how close did he get?
I'd say it was about like me to like, it was very funny.
And just for the record, you're pointing sort of at the armrest in the witness box, so that maybe like a yard. Would you say that's a fair approximation?
Yeah.
Okay. How did that make you feel when the defendant approached you in the resupply room?
I was extremely anxious and quite nervous. I did not want contact with him.
Was that the end of your contact with him, with the defendant on the 11th? What happened next?
I had walked out the back doors of our resupply room and I went to go get my ambulance ready for my shift. And he had followed me out into the parking lot to my ambulance.
What happened in the parking lot?
I had gotten into my ambulance. I had dropped my AG, which is a machine that we use at work. Dropped that outside of my ambulance as I was attempting to get in it away from him. And he had picked it up, came up to me, up to the ambulance. I took it from him and then I drove into our ambulance.
When you say the defendant came up to you, how quickly was the defendant moving? Was it a walk, a run?
It was to me in the moment, it seemed like a speed walk kind of towards me.
And you said you drove your ambulance to a different location. Where was that location?
It was from where it was parked. I just pulled it out and up into our garage bay, which wasn't too far away, but not like a exact like
Was that the last time you had contact with the defendant on the 11th?
that.
What happened after you moved your ambulance? What did you do then?
I pulled it into our garage bay. I had gotten, sorry. I was outside of the garage bay. I walked back inside and I went to the back of resupply where Julia Kelly. And I had asked her to come outside with me because Clark had been following me. He followed me out to the parking lot. And then I asked her to come help me pull my truck in the garage so I wouldn't be alone.
Did you tell anyone else about what happened in the parking lot?
Angel Lewis was there as well.
And why did you feel like you had to get someone to come out with you to move your truck?
I had continuously that day and prior to that day and asked Clark to leave me alone and to stop contacting me and just not come up to me and talk to me. And he did not respect that. And he had followed me out to the parking lot and made me fear
Fear for him or for something else?
for my safety.
At any point on the 11th, you ever find anything in your locker?
Yes, there was coffee in my locker.
Before I go on, I need something clarified. You said feared for your safety. Was there anything prior to that point that the defendant had done where you felt it was a threat to your safety?
Other than him continuously contacting me and
Right, I get the contact. You made a specific statement about a threat to your state. And so I'm trying to figure out what you mean by it.
when he had followed me out into the parking lot when I had to not talk to me anymore. And then he had followed me out and I wanted to be.
Right, but I guess the way that it was said, I just want to make sure I have context to it. Was there a fear on your part that he was going to do something?
Yes,
What?
I don't know. I was fearful for my safety. I didn't know if he would do anything. I didn't know if he.
Had there been anything in the past that would be indicative of him where one might perceive that there's a threat that he had done something in the past that. No? It was just your belief that he was going to do something? Okay, go ahead.
For some additional context, when you're out in the parking lot going to your ambulance, what time of day is it?
That was at nighttime. It was around 11-ish at night.
Was there anyone else around at the time?
Outside, Angel had been in the parking lot. I don't know if she seen anything. I don't know what she specifically witnessed, but I know that she was out in the parking lot, in our separate parking lot.
Okay. When you were walking to your ambulance, were you walking with like a partner or were you on your own? Going back to the coffee that you referenced, I believe you said that you found some coffee in your locker. Do you remember that testimony correctly? Did you ever photograph that coffee?
I believe I did, and I believe I have that here.
Showing defense counsel Marcus Peoples proposed exhibit 2. May I approach the witness?
Right.
I don't object to it.
All right, exhibit 2 submitted.
I'm still going to hand you what's Marcus Peoples. His Peoples. What's in that picture?
The coffee, or I left in my locker with the note.
And you don't have an extra copy? May I publish to the court? How did it make you feel that call?
It made me feel honestly diminished at that point. I felt very like, kind of overwhelmed with the situation.
Was that, do you know, let me see if I can phrase this question here. How often do you go into your locker at work?
Every time ever, at least once a day.
Do you know when that coffee was placed in your locker?
It would have probably been around. Around 5:24 on the 11th.
And do you know who put that coffee in your locker? How do you know that?
He sent a message to me and said that there was coffee in my locker.
With a woman named Julia in the resupply room. You ever reach out to your
Said a
supervisor?
yes. Okay, good.
You ever reach out to your supervisor about anything that happened between you?
That day, yes.
Who is your supervisor? What did you tell your supervisor?
I had explained to him that clerk was in resupply and he was not leaving me alone. I was unsure what to do because I was scared.
Showing defense counsel with Marcus Peoples proposing exhibit 3.
No objection to it, Commissioner.
Exhibit 3 submitted.
And approach the witness.
Man,
And I'm gonna have to copy for the court.
yeah.
And just for clarity, what is this document I put in front of you?
This is the conversation between my supervisor and I.
And when you, are your text messages the one in blue again?
Yes.
When you say I'm in I believe at the top there says, quote, I'm in resupply and Michael won't leave me alone. Is that referring to the February 11th incident? In here, you text, quote, I'm shaking and he won't leave me alone. Was that true? Were you shaking at the time? Why were you shaking?
I was nervous because I did not want to talk to him and he wouldn't leave me alone.
After the 11th, did you and the defendant have any contact?
Person
What about over text?
other than what was the well. He had contacted me and asked if I had this.
And then going back to People's Exhibit 1, the final page there, it looks like at the end you blocked the defendant. Is that true? Did you report this incident to police that day on the 11th? When did you report this incident? To the police, I should say.
I don't remember specifically what day it was, but I believe it was the day after I had gotten back from vacation.
Would looking at the police report refresh your recollection as to when you reported this? If I may approach the witness, Your Honor.
Right.
For the record, I'm just showing you the cover page of Pittsfield Township Police Report 26/931. If you can just take a look at this and let me know if you're done with it. That refresh your recollection?
Yes,
What day did you report this to police?
it'd be February 22nd.
So that would be 11 days after this incident occurred. Why'd you wait so long to report it?
I was on a pre-planned vacation. And I I had informed my supervision and my work of this incident. Obviously, that day I had told my supervisor. And since I was on my vacation, I wanted to see if he would stop contacting me, which he did not. And that's when it went further, and I put an HR complaint at our job. And
When was that?
I believe it was the 11th or the 12th, or no, the 11th or the 12th, like when I told my supervisor about it, we had put in an HR complaint about the situation before I had left.
So at some point over this vacation, the defendant tried to reach out to you. When did that happen?
Well, I don't,
Sustained.
thank you.
That's not,
Understood.
rephrase.
What happened, if anything, between yourself and the defendant while you were on vacation?
He had contacted my friend that I was on vacation with.
How do you know the defendant contacted your friend while you were on vacation?
My friend had shown me the messages.
Do you remember what those messages were?
He was attempting to reach back out and make contact.
That, I wasn't gonna object to hearsay until I got an answer that isn't accurate. So object hearsay.
Sustained.
Did you ever reach out to the defendant while you were on vacation? Since the final text message,
Sorry, I just want to make sure I heard that.
Did you ever try to reach out to the defendant while they were on vacation? She said no.
Thank you.
since the message saying it's in your locker on February 12th on the last page of People's One, have you reached out or made contact with the defendant? If I can have just 1 second, please, Your Honor.
Well, you do that. How long was your vacation?
He's
Starting on the 12th?
starting on the 14th.
Then I'm a bit confused. The testimony that I'm hearing was the contact that occurred on the 12th became I think the prosecutor asked you, why didn't you contact the police until, why did you wait until the 22nd to contact the police?
I had left on vacation and I honestly did not want to, I didn't want anything to do with the situation through all the contacts and the messages and everything. I obviously wanted to be left alone. And
Well, I'm hearing you. Yes, I get it. But your response to the prosecutor was, you didn't contact the police until the 22nd because you left on vacation.
Yeah.
But so that we're clear, the last contact, at least that I'm hearing here, would have been in February 12th, which 2026, which is a Thursday. Then there's the 13th, which is a Friday afterwards, and then you said your vacation started on the 14th. And now at least I'm hearing that there's a different reason why you didn't, after the 12th, contact the police.
I just hadn't contacted them to like on vacation and then I did not want, I wanted to be left alone. I had contacted them once I had put my HR report in at work, once I had gotten back from my vacation. They asked me to put a police report in,
Who advised you?
our HR coordinator.
I just want to try to get this timeline correct. On the 12th, you said there was contact with HR on the 12th. What then happened on the 13th?
I had left for vacation. So I contacted HR on the 12th about the incident. They did not reach back out to me until I had gotten back.
What day did your vacation start? The 13th or the 14th?
The-
Okay, so what happened on the 13th is what I'm trying to get at.
No,
So HR didn't reach back out to you.
I'm sorry.
You did not reach out to the police department. So nothing happened on the 13th. From the 14th through, you said it was 8 days. So the 14th through the 21st, I'm presuming. Was there contact from the defendant to you?
Not to me.
In either direction. You didn't contact him, he didn't contact you. On the 22nd, prior to contacting the Pittsfield police, what happened that led that to occur?
To me to contact the police.
Yes.
I had spoken with HR and I had put in an HR report.
Didn't the maybe it's terminology. Didn't the HR report occur prior to?
Yes, so I put in a report on the 12th.
Okay.
They did not reach out until the 22nd, so they could get my statement. So they could go for it.
Go ahead.
I actually have no further questions. I'm going to ask the
Cross-examination.
Can I start sort of there at the end, ma'am, and then we'll go back to the beginning just to try to keep it somewhat. By the way, how would you like me to address you? Would you like me to call you by your first name, last name? Okay, thank you. And you can call me if you need to, Joe. Payton, on the 22nd of the February, that's the day you met with HR and they said you should call police. Is that right? When you met with the police, you were asked, by the way, if you reviewed the exhibits. Did you review the video interview you had with the police before testifying by any chance? Okay, see if this refreshes your recollection. If it doesn't, maybe I can use it if you need it. You told the police, hey, I just met with HR. They told me to contact you. Is that true? And that's why you called the police. Yes, well, and on that day, you met with them and did you tell them specifically, the HR report has been done on their side and they just wanted me to make an actual police report with all this personal stuff that's going on. Is that what you told them? You didn't tell them any other reason for contacting them, did you? All right. The other thing I want to ask you about at the end, you met with them, the police on February 22nd. And the judge asked you about any further contact you may have had in either direction. I'm sorry, the mhms are yes or no. That's okay. We're not trying to pick on you. It's just the record needs to reflect what you're saying. That's too ambiguous. You called Mr. Clark that night, didn't you? About 10:30 at night?
I did not. What?
Your phone contacted his phone.
Calling for coffee.
So if there is a record of a phone call that's incoming on his phone from your phone on February 22nd, you're saying, I don't know how that happened.
No, I had looked back in through my call logs and had not.
Well, that's who asked you to do? Who asked you to do that? Go through your call logs.
I had heard from other people that he was saying that I reached out to him.
Did you hear specifically he told the police that you did that? Did you read the police report? Let me show you what's been marked as proposed exhibit 5.
5, is it your exhibit?
Yes, defense proposed.
It's gonna be
E. Thank you. It is now. Ma'am, that is not anything you can authenticate, as we say in the law, but having looked at that screenshot, 10:43 p.m., a call from your number. Is that your number?
Yes.
And do you admit making that call at 10:43 p.m. to Mr. Clark? Is it, did somebody else at your request? Did you live with Angel Lewis? And she's one of the people here today to testify. And did she make the call to your knowledge? All right, let me have that back if you don't mind. Then I'm gonna go backward and then forward again one last time, then I'll go in order, I promise. Going backward, you told the judge and you told Mr. Cook that you didn't contact my client during your vacation. Is that true? Didn't you specifically grab your friend's phone, say, hey, this is Payton, and start communicating with him?
I did not start communicating with him. We had sent that message.
May I object to non-responsive and
I'll sustain that and I'll ask you to re-ask your question and go ahead.
you had told Mr. Cook on direct examination, and you had told Judge Simpson that you did not communicate with my client on vacation. I ask you to repeat that just now as a predicate to the next question, and you confirmed that's true. So then the question was, isn't it true that you grabbed your friend's phone and texted Mr. Clark, this is Payton, and texted him 2 text messages?
2 text messages, I do not remember. I do remember sending him one saying to stop contacting me.
So you actually did communicate with him, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me tell you, if you see if this is accurate, and if you need something to refresh your memory, I will be glad to help you. Isn't it true? Let me back up and set the stage for this. Did you become acquainted while you were dating with Mr. Clark with the mother of his children, Gwen? Did you become knowing who Gwen was? Just knowing who she was.
Yes, I knew who she was.
And Gwen started to contact you at the beginning of February, correct? And you have no idea how she even got your number, true? Oh, she reached out to you through other social platforms? Did you want that contact from her? Okay. Gwen had told you, hey, Michael's cheating on you, right? Yes. And that violated your trust, wouldn't you agree? Hurt you deeply. Then Gwen, fast forward to February when you're on vacation, or maybe shortly before, she confessed to you that she lied to you. Isn't that true? And Mr. Clark had been maintaining that that was a big lie all the way. He was trying to tell you that she was lying. Isn't that true? And when you texted him from your vacation, You said, look, buddy, he said, I'm paraphrasing. I know. She already told me, and it still doesn't matter. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Words to that effect. Yes? Okay. Remember I said we'll go backward, forward, and then I'll go right to the beginning. Here's the forward. As this case was pending, you became an active participant in it. Would you agree? You wanted to keep informed? Yes? You talked about the lockers at work at HVA. This is not like a male-female locker room, is it? It's like a common area where employees can gather, right? The lockers, maybe they're capable of being locked, I don't know, but they're not locked, are they? And you have left gifts in Mr. Clark's locker, right? Let me show you something that might refresh your memory on that. Let's go to the day before your breakup. February 4. I'm going to show you, this is not marked as an exhibit yet, just something that might refresh your recollection. Just review that whole thing. And the only thing I really want you to focus on is the last page, but I'm trying to make sure that date stamps are all there. Okay, so the reason I handed you all of that, by the way, just for the record, those are screenshots of text messages between you and Mr. Clark, correct? You acknowledge that those are real exchanges between the two of you? They're dated February the 4th, 2026, is that right? And they end with you leaving a present in his locker, right? And you did leave. You said, just as you testified that Mr. Clark said coffee in your locker, you testified to him or texted to him on February 4th, present in your locker. Yes. And you left a present in his locker.
He was actually in the lunchroom and I had taken it after coffee and breakfast. And I had actually brought it into a lunchroom.
From his locker? That's where you left it for him to find. Okay. Speaking of the lockers, you knew which locker was his, obviously, right? In April of this year, back up. In your job, you have access to hazardous materials, right? Sometimes you have to handle them. And when you handle them, there's protocols you have to follow, I'm imagining. And one of those includes putting biohazard stickers on things. Would you agree?
Yes.
Biohazard stickers have fields of information. Would you agree? In April of this year, didn't you take Mr. Clark's name tag off his locker and replace it with a biohazard sticker? Did you witness someone do that? You had direct knowledge of who did that, didn't you, ma'am? You supplied the person who, do you know, did you see it? You're aware of it?
Yes.
It had specific fields of information. Would you agree? Tell me if I'm right or wrong. It had the case number. You didn't supply the case number of this case to anyone? Right down to the digit of what we call the case codes, the SM at the end. It had the next pretrial date, April 20th, 2026. Would you agree?
Yes.
Seem to know a lot about what's on that sticker, but we'll come back to that. And you didn't tell anyone at work what the next court date was?
Other than the witnesses?
Well, you didn't know who the witnesses were in April of 2026, did you?
I was witness actions of what we had done.
No, I'm talking about in putting the sticker on the.
I was not actively out.
Who did you provide April 20th, 2026 to?
Other than the people that were here, nobody else.
What about
That
Year when?
When we had the pretrial, I had Angel was with me. Uh, well, they knew when that date was because they were.
So are you familiar with the nickname Tobis?
Yes.
Whose nickname is that? And on that sticker was the name Tobis. Would you agree?
Yes.
I've not shown you a picture of the sticker, but you've just verified everything that's on it. How did you become acquainted with it?
My supervisor asked me if I could knock his locker the next morning.
And what did you say? Speaking of that, by that time, shortly before, HR had concluded their investigation of what happened between you and Mr. Clark. Do you agree? HR determined, and this goes to your state of mind, that not even by a preponderance of evidence, that's the phrase they use, they say, we don't find harassment, correct?
Going to object. I understand why the defense counsel says it's proffered, but I still believe that that's hearsay.
So I'm asking what her understanding was toward her state of mind at that time.
I'm going to allow it as to her state if for only that purpose of state of mind. Go ahead.
You would receive that information, yes? From HR.
They had not phrased it like that. No.
They said there was no harassment. Would you agree?
They,
You weren't happy with their finding? Okay. And that was before their finding was before April the 8th of 2026.
yes, so.
Did you ever have a discussion?
Even to your state of mind, I'm sorry. You, what was their finding?
They never gave me like a final list of what they found. They had.
Well, but you, ma'am, you just said in answer to Mr. Simon's questions, you weren't happy with their conclusion.
They didn't. They never.
Okay, so what was their conclusion to your understanding?
That they weren't gonna do anything about the situation. They were just keeping us separate. They were putting us on different days. So I'm guessing from what I believe that they believe he must have done something because they switched both of our schedules around so we wouldn't make contact. And yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Simon. Sorry.
Okay, let's now, oh, one more thing, since she's here today, Angel's your roommate, you told us that, correct? Did you ever have a discussion with Angel about that sticker? I mean, even for purposes of how to answer HR, right? Like, you were gonna be talked about it from HR, right? Did you ever say, Angel, are you the person who put that on there? I gotta talk to HR. What'd she answer?
Objection, hearsay.
It's not for the communication, Your Honor, not for the substantive truth. I'll ask that of Angel.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll allow the answer. Go ahead.
You asked what again? I'm sorry.
What'd she tell you in response to that question?
Don't remember.
Earnestly, you don't remember, ma'am?
Okay.
I know that anybody that I asked that had done it, that works. It had only something.
What day did you go into HR to talk about this sticker?
I had never been reached out about the sticker. I had no information on it. The only person I asked about it was my supervisor.
Oh, hold on. I thought you said you had to talk with HR about the sticker.
I talked to my supervisor about the sticker.
Did I mishear that?
I don't think you did, but now you've invited another thought of questions, so.
Right. Did you talk? Okay. So we're clear. Did you talk with anybody from HR or HVA management about that sticker?
Yes,
Who did you talk to?
my supervisor Dave.
What day did you talk to Dave?
It was in the day. Placed on locker. He had came to ask me. I do not know what day it was placed.
But it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it was the day after the pretrial date where the date set was April 20th. Is that right?
I don't know when it was placed on his locker.
Okay, but when you talk to your supervisor, it was before the 20th of April, right?
I honestly don't remember when it was.
Go ahead, Mr.
The judge's question invited another set of questions. I didn't mark this as an exhibit but I am now. I'll bring it to you in a second. But I just need to make sure what the judge asked you at the beginning of that is that I heard it right. You said you never saw the sticker.
Correct.
So I'm now going to approach you what's been marked as defense proposed D as in dog. These are several pictures of the same thing. Can you take a look at that, please? When I ask you questions, you express personal knowledge of the following things. Let me make sure I get there. That the case number was placed on that sticker to the extent that it was the complete case number, including the case codes -SM. And you said you knew that, right? Yes? You see that on that picture there? Okay, we haven't moved to admit it yet because you say you've never seen it before. Did you ever see it since, by the way? Did you have to look at it? I said the date of the next pretrial of April the 20th, 2026 was on there. And that is what you're looking at. Would you agree? I also said that the exact date of the complaint that's alleged here of 2/11/26 is on there. That's on there, isn't it? Also, the nickname, it's Tobis. That's on there. Who provided you the personal knowledge of all those very specific things that was on? He said things like I just said, the case number down to the SM is on there. He said, who's Tobis? He didn't have any idea what Tobis was, did he?
Objection. Speculation. I don't know how she would know what.
He had no conversation with you about Tobis. Would you agree? He had no conversation.
Objection. Go ahead, Mr.
He had no reference point of what 4/20/26 was. Would he, or did he? He didn't ask you. Okay, and didn't tell you that was on there, did he? That's a no, ma'am. You shaking your.
Sorry. I believe he did tell me, he told me what was on the sticker. He did tell me that. He did not tell me how he knew what, or it was not on the locker. And
Let's go to the beginning now. I told you we'd eventually. Oh, sorry, Your Honor.
Sorry. So your supervisor calls you in to question you about a sticker. And doesn't show you the sticker?
they had already taken it off of his locker.
Okay, I get that. But you're brought in, questioned about this. And nobody shows you anything?
No, I had knew about it from the other people that were there the night previously.
Supervisor's asking you about the sticker. They're asking you, do you know anything about it?
Yes.
They don't show you the sticker.
He had explained what was on it and what was placed on the locker.
And you're meeting with this person face to face. And they don't show you the sticker. Go ahead, Mr. Simon.
I said we'd jump back to the beginning. Let's jump back to the beginning. You told Mr. Cook on direct examination that you had a work friendship with Mr. Clark that blossomed into a romantic relationship. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you said that the actual dating part of the relationship was less than 1 month starting in January. Isn't it more accurate to say, ma'am, that you were involved romantically with him as early as late October, early November?
No. It was after this, after November-ish.
Well, that's different than January. So let's start piecing that down. Wouldn't you agree with me that you guys actually started to become closer friends when you and Angel offered to him in September to crash at your place because of his commute to Hillsdale?
Correct.
You guys live in the Ipsy area, correct? And he started doing that right around September, yes?
Yeah.
And eventually what happened was he started to, you had come out of another relationship, right? And you were feeling vulnerable and sad, right? You turned to him for comfort. Isn't it true that sort of in that time frame now, October-ish, you said to him, "Listen, can you sleep with me in my space for cuddles, to cuddle me and comfort me?" Is that true? And then after a while, he started to exclusively stay in your room with you. Is that true?
For November, December time, yeah.
Okay, when we talk about less than a month, and then we're talking about a span of 3 months, this is something that's important. So let's do our best, okay? Okay, hold on, please. I'm getting there. I'll let you answer, I promise. Just let me frame it. You told Mr. Cook that prior to testifying, you had reviewed the text messages between February 5th and February 12th. You remember that? Yes? And then I don't mean disrespect. How old are you, ma'am?
20.
Okay. In your generation, the primary form of communications is text messaging. Would you agree with that? Did you review your text from November, December before testifying? All right. Maybe I'll have some for you to review. Would you agree that romantically you spent Thanksgiving together? Romantically, in a romantic relationship. Would you agree that you spend Christmas time in a romantic relationship? Okay. Would you agree that on
How does the relationship start in January?
So we had not officially gotten together. We were friends up until January. We had been romantic with each other, sexually, yes. But we had not been.
Yes, when?
So just so I can clarify that, yes, that last yes. Sexually, romantically in early November through February 5th. True or false?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Sexually romantic. I use the words that from early November through January or February 5th, 2026. Yes? And I said November, which was November 2025. Okay. In fact, on December 19th, maybe as a thing of Christmas shopping, you were in a Barnes and Noble and saw a coworker. Is that right? Jojo? Do you remember telling Mr. Clark on a text message, "Hey, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. I just ran into somebody," and he said, "You're Clark's girlfriend, aren't you?" And you responded, "Yes." And again, ma'am, I'm going to give you sort of a stack of things, but the stack isn't relevant. It's just to get the dates correctly. And I'm gonna, sorry. Here's. You
I
can,
have just a second to look through. This is
Yeah.
the first time seeing these stuff.
Ultra.
Are there a lot of them or?
So, Your Honor, in order to make sure the dates stay sequenced so you can't manipulate that, I've put a lot in there. There's only a very short of is the relevant part. I just put the string in there to show that the dates weren't
All
manipulated.
right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take about 10-minute, 15-minute recess, come back at 1:45.
Thank you.
May step down me. Court's in recess.
And the sequestration order remains in effect.
Yes, sequestration remains in effect.
And we'll make sure they're not talking. We were on the topic of the status of your relationship with Michael, and I specifically, wrongfully, by the way, I've learned, asked you about an incident on December 19. Is it true that while at work, Jojo approached you about running into Michael at Barnes and Noble? And he asked you, you're his girlfriend, right? Yes. And you confirmed that. Oh, okay.
I did say.
Okay, on December 19th. Okay, okay. So, and
We're not technically boyfriend and girlfriend because that's what you didn't call each other. Okay, but you were involved at that time in a romantic relationship, a sexually romantic like relation. Thank you.
and
Go
that
ahead.
started in the beginning of November of 2025. That status. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, when you spoke to the police on the 22nd of February, you were mindful to volunteer that piece of information repeatedly. Here's what I mean specifically. We're only together less than a month. It was less than a month. You said that to them 2, 3, 4 times. Would you agree? You said that to them kind of spontaneously, right? I mean, like just a filler to kind of document why Mr. Clark was reacting the way he was about the breakup. Would you agree with that? Like, boy, look how bizarre he's being. We were only together less than a month.
I guess you could say that, yeah.
You never told the police that you were sexually romantically involved since the beginning of November. True?
Yes.
The status of your relationship with Mr. Clark, in fact, was very solid up to the date of February 4 when you left that present in his locker. Would you agree? Would you be surprised? Tell me if you remember on the February 2nd and February 3rd. I miss you. I miss you more. Nobody, it's impossible. I can only miss you more. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you? That was the status of your text messaging on the 2nd and the 3rd of February. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, if you like, I can refresh your recollection, but I haven't.
No, I don't need it.
Okay. And then on the 4th, that's when Gwen reached out. Yes? You were working together at that time, you and Mr. Clark. You were on the same shift. And you started to get withdrawn, right? Or I'm sorry, I said text again. I'm just not of your generation. Some other means of electronic communication. Okay. How did you come about the information?
She had that.
Okay, thank you. And then while working together on the 4th, you became withdrawn. You were not happy. You were sad. Is that true? Finally, and I'm speeding through this. Finally, he was asking you, what's the matter with you? Are you okay? What's wrong? And you finally spilled the beans. You've been cheating on me, or worse to that effect. True? He denied it immediately, right? And he begged you not to trust Gwen as a source of information, right? And you expressed, to Mr. Clark, you know how essential trust is to me, and now my trust is gone in you. Okay.
Does Angel know Gwen?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
You got to make console push really fast. It's relevant to that question. Would you agree with me that the duration of your relationship wasn't the only subject matter that you told the police on February 22nd that seemed weird or out of order, or in your words, creepy about Mr. Clark? Did you say specifically that he was sending you gifts and repeatedly? But you knew full well that because you were going to be gone on Valentine's Day, that he'd ordered gifts ahead of time for you to be delivered. He told you so, true?
He told me after we had broken up.
Right. On February 7th, in a text message contained in the exhibit that I'm going to return you,
Should still be able
I have,
People's One. In February 7th, he said, as you were going dialoguing, look, I got you a lot of stuff. Please, I don't want it to go to waste, or words to that effect. Would you agree? Yeah, you have no reason to believe he sent you things after that, do you? But when you told it to the police, you didn't quite tell it that way, did you?
I told, he said he was gonna be sent.
Isn't it more accurate to say you told the police he's sending things to my house, like present day? Yeah. And also, you told the police things like this. Before we started dating, you know what he did? You used the word creepy, kind of creepy. He got himself onto my shift, right? You told them that?
I'm sorry, say it again.
You said to the police that Mr. Clark, prior to you dating, worked it out so that he could work the same shift as you.
I don't know.
Let me see if I can refresh your recollection with the video. You sat down with the police at the HVA conference room.
Yes.
You were aware of the body cam and they were activated.
Yes.
God, I think I'm plugged in. Oh, I'm not plugged in. I'm still in. I'm going to show you what's timestamped at 1790. Body cam.
Just so that way I'm clear, is this being admitted as an exhibit, or is this just for refreshing her recollection?
I certainly would not object to the whole thing coming in, but right now it's for refreshing recollection.
Okay.
So we're working on one together. Because he was wishes. But he was.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Thinking. But no, I just figured it. So. But it would just be like. Off. Sure.
Here's what you told the police, see if you'll agree with. Told them that he caused the shift onto your schedule, to your shift. True?
Yes, it switched with a different C lister.
Okay. Just yes. You told the police that you couldn't do anything about that because you were a D-lister. And you even added, I had, meaning yourself, had no control over that, right? And you told the police, in addition, that that was before you started dating. Again, staying on theme with the police, that you weren't dating at that time. Would you agree with me that, in fact, on November 10th, 2025, you're the person who caused the shift to be on the same schedule? Can I ask you to please review some text messages in just a second?
Just handing back.
Okay. Oh, we already looked at them. If I just review these again, more information than is necessary, but it's because of the dates. Let me just give you date of thing. You caused the shift, didn't you, ma'am? You asked a friend of yours to shift so that you could be on the same shift with Michael. Isn't that true?
Her to switch, that was not, it had nothing to do with me. I gave her Clark's number. To, if they wanted to switch ship it.
You asked her to do it.
I asked her if she would at the time, but I didn't ask her, but I have no control over it.
You have no control that she would do it, but you desired it and you asked her to do it, right?
I asked her according on his behalf. Yes.
You bragged to him, look, people love me. I got it done, right?
I said. I have a little pull with people who like me at the company. Yes.
I have a little pull, meaning I got it done. You, the D-lister. He didn't control this. Well, if he did, why did he need your help? Didn't he say in that same exchange that
Which was the other person?
you think the police think that he had authority to do it as a C-lister?
I told them that he was able to switch on to my shift, but that we have no control over that.
You wanted to be on the same shift, didn't you, ma'am?
Yes.
Because you were romantically involved, yes? And you enjoyed being together.
Yeah.
And actually, you were quite a good duo at work, weren't you?
Yes.
You complimented each other at work.
Yeah.
In fact, on November 21st, he had an opportunity to shift to a different thing, something called an ALS. Or is it AIS? Yeah. And what is that, by the way? He had informed you that he had that opportunity. Would you agree? And that would have caused you to not work together on the same shift. He also informed you that he turned that down because it wouldn't line up with his schedule seeing his children. Do you agree? And you expressed, oh, thank goodness, or words to that effect, because you wanted to stay on the same shift. Okay. The turning now to the 5th of February, would you agree that from the 4th of February, when you learned this information through Angel from Gwen, through the 5th, there were some phone calls between you and Mr. Clark, FaceTime, a lengthy hour and a half or more FaceTime with Mr. Clark, leading up to your February 5th long text breaking up. Would you agree with that? Would you also confirm that in one of those communication forms, you said to him words close to exactly this: you can continue to try to fight for this, but I won't be. Okay. You also asked for some space, right? So from February 5th, when you asked for space, to February 7th, there was no communication between you, was there? The on February 7th, after work shifts, he came up to you while you were seated in your car in the parking lot. True? Knocked on the window and said, "Can I talk to you?" Yes. You got out of the car? Yes. You had a talk. And in that talk, you had said, you know, I'm not really interested in words to this effect, man. This is not exact. I'm not interested in your denials, my trust violated, you know, move on, or things like that. Would you agree? He followed that up with a text message saying essentially, and it's in front of you, so you can say, Mr. Simon, you don't have it right. Essentially, hey, look, sorry, I don't mean to crowd you, or words to that effect. This is just so hard, and that kind. Would you agree?
Yeah.
In addition, there was an arrangement to get his belongings that you began to discuss with him. True?
Yeah.
He had belongings at your home. I mean, he has children and had to go back and maintain his residence in Hillsdale, but when he wasn't there, he was basically living with you. So you started talking about possible times and started to discuss February 12th as a probable date. Okay, and arrangements were going to be made as to how that was going to take place. Would you agree? So, on February 7th, just to be abundantly clear, he never chased you down to your car, did he?
You followed me, I was like,
Well, he came up to your car and knocked on the window, right?
yes.
Okay. You didn't really know how he got there, but you saw him at the window knocking. Okay. The next contact that you had was a text from him on the 8th saying, will Thursday the 12th be acceptable for me to get my belongings? And you replied, that's fine. Excuse me, that's fine. And he said, thanks for the reply, means a lot.
Yeah.
That's part of Exhibit 1, People's 1. Yes?
Yeah.
And that was the only communication on February 8th. Would you agree? On February 9th, and again, paraphrasing, so if you say it's not fair, Mr. Simon, you fill in the blanks, okay? That you have every right to do that. He wrote a long diatribe. I mean, like laying it all out there, essentially saying, I want to fight for this. I love you. And Gwen can't be trusted, and just a long pouring his heart out kind of message. Would you agree? In that, you said to him, I don't want to talk to you or have a conversation about any of this. Would you agree? You added, there's nothing else to talk about. I don't trust you anymore. You lied to me when we talked about it. Okay. In other words, you weren't buying what he was selling. Okay. You said in that string that you were going to tell him again. You used the word again, leave to not talk to you or that kind of thing, right? And in the end of that string, he said, wait a minute, you told me again, words to this effect, I could fight for this and you wouldn't, right? And you went on to explain what that meant. You said, when I said you could try and I wouldn't, that meant I'm not trying to reconcile this. And no matter what you do from now, there will be no second chances. Agree? And you said, that is all I have to say. Please leave me to here. Please leave me alone. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And he wrote back, I didn't understand that that's what you meant by you could try. True? The next contact was on the February 10th, a single contact, a message to you. I hope you're doing all right and have a great day. I miss you. No more contact on the 10th. Correct? Now, I'm going to skip over the 11th and come right back to the 11th. On February 12th, Mr. Cook asked you about contact with that he continued to contact you. This was the arranged date for him to get his belongings, weren't you? Would you agree? And he was merely inquiring as to the key, right? Where's the key? I need the key.
The long messages that he had sent me, after I told him to again stop texting me, he did end up saying that he was asking for his house key.
Yeah, let's go back to where I'm asking you. On February the 12th, the only exchange he had to you on February the 12th was about the key and getting his belongings. Sorry.
He had sent multiple different messages after during the 12th.
About getting his belongings, and you were replying to them.
There were, I'd have to count how many messages.
I don't.
Your microphone, Mr. Simon. Mr. Simon,
Yes.
the microphone,
Yes.
just to make sure.
Whatever. All right. What's in the exhibit is what you're referring to. We'll just let the exhibit stand. Okay. I told you we're going to come back to the 11th, and I promise we will. On February 12th, you testified you blocked him. Is that right? You know a lot more about phones than me, but tell me if I'm right. If you block a person, they don't know it on the other side. They don't get a notification, do they? And if you block a person, that means they can't reach you. Is that true? Tell me, is this true? For you to call someone that you've blocked, do you have to unblock them? You can call them anyway.
You can call people that you've blocked, yes.
Okay. Could you message people that you've blocked?
I don't believe they would go through.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. In addition to blocking him on February 12th, you also stopped sharing your location with him on February 12th. So through February 12th, you were sharing your location with him. So when you were talking earlier about your state of mind being scared and all that kind of thing, you were still sharing your with him through February 12th.
Remember vividly sharing my location, also my message location.
Let me approach you with. This actually comes from the original police report. It's part of it. It's the same thing you have. Let me see if you can take a look at this.
Yes.
Yeah, except that's it's not. I don't know if it's still there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So part of the exhibit shows that you stopped sharing your location on February 12th, right?
Yes.
And none of the other part of the exhibit shows that, like from February 5th through up to that date. The judge asked you some questions on when you were on direct about threats. You specifically were asked that question by the police. Were there any threats, ma'am? Anything like that? And you quickly and definitively answered, tell me if I'm right or wrong. No, there weren't. Never threats. Because there weren't. And you said just this was kind of harassing to you, or use your phrase.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I said I'd come back to the 11th, and I will, and then I'll be concluding after that subject matter. We'll go to one more thing and I'll be all done. On the 11th, and unfortunately this may get some, maybe we can do it through words and maybe I'll have you review something. In the resupply room, Mr. Clark approached you. First, there were other people in the room. Is that true? There were at least 2 and sometimes 3 and maybe 4 people in that room.
There could have been, I don't necessarily remember right with this.
Would you agree with me that you were sort of standing in the middle of the room? Mr. Clark came in with somebody else and eventually walked up to you and said something to you. And you responded, talked back. Whatever was said, maybe it was leave me alone. Maybe whatever was said, you responded. Yes. That conversation ended, right? He walked away. Yes. Oh, okay. And then you came back to essentially the same spot in the resupply room? Well, maybe I'm going to have you review something in just a minute, ma'am. But that'll take time. So before we do that, let me ask you this. When he came back to you, he came out with his phone and he was pointing to his phone like this. Mr. Cook asked you if you remembered what he was talking about during that time, and you said something like he just wanted to fight for the relationship, although you don't specifically remember what he said. Wasn't he saying, look, no, you said I could only have 30 minutes on the 12th to pick up my stuff tomorrow, and I need more than 30 minutes. Wasn't he showing you that text message?
I did not look at the text message he was trying to show me. I wanted no contact with him when he all I said to him was, I don't want to talk to you.
And then you pulled out your own phone and scrolled to see what he was talking about, right?
I don't remember that.
And see if it refreshes your memory. What he was asking about wasn't fighting for the relationship, was the time and the arrangements to get his stuff the next day.
Oh, it's
Okay. All right. The
On that date or after?
that date. I don't necessarily remember him saying anything about it prior to either, but I can look back.
Hold it. You don't remember him saying anything about getting his items?
Yes, I do remember that. He wanted to come pick up his things on 12th. We already talked about that. I'm saying that day. For example.
Go ahead, Miss.
the the direct testimony you rendered about what happened in the parking lot, when asked to by Mr. Cook to categorize how Mr. Clark approached you, I think you said, in the moment, I tried to write it down, but I'm not that fast anymore. In the moment, I thought it was more like speed walking. Do you remember that testimony? In retrospect, he was just walking, wasn't he?
He had been what felt like chasing after me.
Well, I'm not talking about what it felt like. What'd you observe?
Is that he was speed walking and following me.
Okay. You told the police he ran after you.
Speed walking ran.
You never said speed walking to the police, ma'am. Oh, no, I'm asking. That's a question. It wasn't very well phrased. You told me ran after. He ran after me. Scared you. Yes. Chased me to my car. You actually used that phrase, chased you to the car on February 7th. Yes. You told the police that on February the 7th, the night he knocked on your window, can we talk, that he chased you to your car. Is that true or false? That you told that to the police?
Yes.
And the truth is, you were actually already in your car when he just came up to you and knocked on the window, said, can we talk? And you got out and talked to him. True or false? Okay. And you used the same language about February 11th, correct? Okay. You said Mr. Clark stopped texting you after February 12th. Would you agree? You seem to attribute that to you blocked him, right? He had other methods of communicating with you, didn't he? Instagram, messaging, other social media. You guys did communicate that way with one another?
After the 12th.
No, just in general. But he didn't do that after the 12th, did he?
No.
And you didn't block him on any of those abilities, did you? Well, he didn't come to your house, did he? Other than to get his stuff. Okay. And there were guidelines put in place at work to keep you guys on different shifts and that kind of thing.
At work.
Yeah. All right. My last area of inquiry goes to your state of mind when you, two questions. When did you learn from Gwen, or whatever source you learned it from, that Gwen's insertion into your relationship was all a lie per her own admission? When did you learn that?
over text with vendor.
Over your vacation, you learned that directly to you
Yes.
from. Oh, you don't know her. Somehow or another, at some point, gains the ability to text.
She found me on Facebook and then
Okay, good.
Mr. Clark. I don't know, try how to phrase this because it's like trying to prove a negative. You believed Mr. Clark cheated on you because of what Gwen told you, right? And when Gwen told you that was all a lie, did you believe that? That it was a lie? Okay. I believe that I'm.
Okay, I'll ask, why not?
since the situation kind of went the way that it did, and I didn't, and I did not believe her, I didn't.
Hold on a second now. Somebody sends a message somehow or another, well, to somebody else that gets to you that says he's cheating. Believe that, right? But that message is coming from somebody else to you from this Gwen,
Yes.
right?
She had video and text message proof that he was contacting her and making physical contact with her.
Okay. But then when she tells you directly that's not true, right?
Yeah.
You don't believe that.
Her friend had also reached out to me and said, trying to backtrack herself and say that it was not true. That when she kind of reached out to me first time when she said that it was just a lie, just to get us separated, that was a lie, which is what I did not believe. So her friend had reached out to me and found me on Instagram. That's why I decided to call them and didn't.
Okay. People need other stuff to do. Were you done, Mr. Sun?
I was, but if I can just retrieve the things I've left up there because I'm not sure. I think I'm done. I just want to verify. Yes, I am concluded. Thank you,
All
ma'am.
right. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. No, no.
Peyton, I want to draw back to the beginning of your cross-examination where defense counsel asked you about why you called the police. I believe the answer you gave was that you partly called police due to HR telling you to. Do you remember that testimony? What was the other part to that?
Had not, just due to everything that had happened. I had been meaning to put in the police report before I had left, but I left for vacation and I didn't want to do with it. I was partly scared because of the February 11th situation. And I wanted no contact. I wanted that to never happen again. So.
Okay. And then there was also some questioning near the there at the end of People's Exhibit 1 where it shows that you stopped sharing your location. When the incident happened on the 11th, were you concerned at all with your phone sharing your location at that time?
I honestly, after the situation that happened, I didn't even think about any of that. I was not concerned with anything else. Like I said, my iMessage location does not work.
What was your main concern on the 11th then?
To get away from our station, get away from him.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you.
May step down.
Your Honor, maybe we just be excused.
Mr. Simon,
I'm sorry.
he's asking if this,
So, yes,
I don't know that I've asked, but I'm not gonna do that. She's not excused at this time
Understood.
on the courts.
I was about to say, Mr. Cook is gonna call Ms. Lewis. I may want to not excuse her. That's
Understood.
possible. Well,
Right. Given everything, I figured that's probably gonna be the case.
People would call Angel Lewis.
All right, hold on before we go on to Angel Lewis. Otherwise, Mr. Goldstein's gonna take a nap in my courtroom and I don't want that.
Do it, I'm doing it.
What'd you say?
Do it 1 o'clock to Judge Slays.
Yeah, no, I got you.
that's the schedule.
That's it. And I have. Yeah. Mr. Stewart, you're gonna have to step back and bring in somebody from in custody.
Really good.
Witness.
The people would call Angel Lewis.
So the record is clear. We're back in the record in People versus Clark. Yep. Main court.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you doing? Good. Just one thing, make sure we're speaking up. You have a microphone in front of you. We need to make sure that's recording and getting everything okay. Thank you. I want to start off by asking, do you know an individual by the name of Michael Clark? How do you know that individual?
I work with him and he did my
Payton, last name Tropha? All right. And how long have you known each of them?
Payton for over a little, maybe over 2 years now. And Michael, maybe a year, if that.
Do you see Michael Clark in the room?
Yes.
Can you please point to him and identify minor article of clothing that he's wearing?
Wearing a black tie.
The record may reflect this witness has identified the defendant.
Record shows so reflect that. Yes.
How would you describe your relationship with the defendant?
We were cordial when he was dating Payton, or that's just mostly it. I respected him, he respected me. I was mainly friends.
Want to draw your attention back to February 11th of 2026. Do you remember that day?
Yeah.
And at that time, where did you work? Were you working that day?
I was working that night, yes,
What was your shift?
11 a.m. to 5 a.m.
What time did you get to work that day?
I got there a little early, around 10 to 10:30, to complete school work before my shift.
And just be clear, is that 10:30 at night or 10:30 in the morning? Did you observe anything happen between the defendant and Payton that night?
When I arrived the parking lot, I put my car in the park and was facing the lot where all of our ambulances sit. And I witnessed Payton pull up in the ambulance, quickly stop, run out of the truck and run into the building. And I observed the defendant running after her at full speed.
So let's go a little bit more into detail on that. How far away were you from all of that happening?
Yeah.
And when you say that Payton was running, how fast?
She was as fast as she could get within short distance from our door to the door to the garage.
And what about the defendant? How fast was he going?
Full run from what I could see.
Other than the two of them running, were any of them doing anything? Or were either of them doing anything?
And then it's reaching his hand out while Payton was going through the door.
Sort of made a gesture there. Can you describe what that gesture was?
Hand out like this.
And that's your right hand?
Right, and
How far away from Payton was the defendant when he reached towards her?
most
Were you able to hear if anything was said between the two of them? After you observed this interaction, what did you do next?
tried to get my belongings, which had my work badge, so I could go into the building and find Peyton.
Did you find Payton?
I did.
Where was Payton when you found her?
She called me and I found her in the resupply.
Roughly how long after the incident in the parking lot, or let me rephrase this question, how long did it take you to find Payton?
Getting into the building, maybe 3 to 5 minutes.
When you found Payton, could you describe what her apparent emotional state was?
Very distraught. She was shaking. She looked like she was on the verge of tears.
And I don't want you to say what exactly was said, but did Payton say anything to you?
Yes.
Was her voice steady and calm? Was it quivering? What was her voice like? Did you observe the defendant in the resupply room at any time?
No.
Other than that incident in the parking lot, did you observe the defendant at all that night? And how do you know it was the defendant that was behind Payton in the parking lot?
I saw his face and I recognized from the side that it was him.
How long did you have to look at the individuals in the parking lot while that incident was occurring?
40 to 50 seconds maybe.
We're gonna have just one moment, please, Remember.
Yeah.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, hang on before, I just want to make sure I have an understanding of what you're telling me. Peyton pulls up in an ambulance to one of the garage doors. And you see her do that? Okay. And at the point you see her do that, where is the defendant?
I hadn't seen him at that moment. She got out of the truck and that's when he's behind a row of trucks that we parked. That face came off.
And how long did you see him for? How far from the point at which you see him to the truck that Peyton's in? How long a distance is that?
Maybe 5 to 10 feet.
So, and so the time at which you saw the defendant was that 5 to 10 feet,
Yes.
and then he came. How do you know he was at a full sprint?
I could see him running from behind the truck. It's like when I saw him coming from behind the truck.
Okay.
He was right next to me there.
Okay, but you described it as a full sprint. But you, right, okay, and I'm not necessarily cook, but you didn't see him in an open area sprinting, right?
There is a gate that is see-through that we have, and between the row of trucks and where I saw him, where the door is, where Peyton was trying to get in.
Okay, I get you, but when I just asked you, you saw him for a distance of about 5 to 10 feet, right? Would you agree with me that if I'm observing somebody for 5 to 10 feet, that I really can't make an assessment that they're running at full speed? Mr. Simon.
The first time that you spoke to the police about this incident was the 16th of July, is that right?
That sounds correct.
The police first contacted you then about anything you might have to say about this, is that right? And you would agree that 5 months had passed since February 11th?
Yes.
Had you reviewed anything about this case prior to talking to them about this observation of yours in the parking lot that night? Had you reviewed any writings? Had you reviewed any videos, anything like that?
Not seen any.
Judge Simpson asked you a question just now. I think I understood your answer this way. So I'm going to ask this very particularly. And if I confuse you, put your hand up, say, I don't understand. It's important. I think you said you saw Payton from the time she had the ambulance parked, pull up to the building. Am I correct on that?
Sure.
Yeah, you were in the parking lot when she moved the ambulance from the parking spot that it was in to the building.
Seeing the ambulance roll to some.
Did you see Michael at that time in the parking lot going after somehow going after her?
She.
Okay, did you see him hand her ALR? Did you see him go up to the door, hold up the ALR, and for her open the door and grab it from him that she had dropped or anything like that? Did you see that? Did you see Michael walking? I'm gonna do this pace. Watch me very carefully. At this pace. Up to the ambulance where Payton was at the truck bay. If I played you some video, I would like to see if it refreshes your recollection at all as to what you may have seen in the parking lot. Okay?
I'm gonna have to object for the purpose of refreshing her recollection. I don't think she ever testified that she didn't remember.
Oh, I think she actually did. About
That she didn't remember.
seeing Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I think she did. Kind of just, well, quite frankly, there have been two different statements. So go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
This is not very long, ma'am.
Can you?
And there's no audio, by the way. Just gonna pause real quick. You see an ambulance leaving a parking spot, right? Okay. Stay with me. Do you see an individual, right? I'm circling with my cursor who's walking.
Yes.
Are you able to tell from the walk or the shape of who that is yet? Okay. Can you tell now, man?
Not exactly.
Um. Can you see the time of day and the date here?
Yes.
Would that be consistent with the time of day that you were in the parking lot?
Yes.
If that were Payton in that ambulance, and if that were Mr. Clark that we saw, would that be consistent with what you observed?
Exactly.
Would that be consistent with your memory as to what you observed about Mr. Clark in the parking lot?
In the parking lot. Yes.
Okay, and then from that bay where the car is parked now, where we last saw it, where the ambulance parked, to the gate is about 5 feet. Would you agree?
In person, it's
Closer than me and you right now? About the same distance? Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, Mr. Simon, but
Sure.
would agree that if the individual that we saw in the video was Mr. Clark, and if the ambulance that we saw pull in was the one that Payton's in, that individual is not at a full sprint. Would you agree?
I would agree.
In fact, not even necessarily a fast walk. They're actually just walking across. Agree with that? Yes? All right, go ahead, Mr. Simon.
Your Honor, I can play some additional snippet of that video. It's fractured, unfortunately, that could tie this up. But I will admit, as I showed to Mr. Cook, there's a 30-second gap that is unaccounted for. So if I can just play another section of this for you, ma'am, which is the front end of what I didn't show you. See if it will help you identify the people involved. Actually, I'm going to speed this up. You know who that is by the Walkman and the gear?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, let's watch her where she goes. She running, by the way?
No, she's not.
Okay. Do you see that the lights of this ambulance came on and flashed?
Yes.
Is that consistent with the use of a key fob? And then, can you tell by who that is right there, the male at the bottom? Yeah, sorry, that's when the gap is. Right there. No offense, by the bald spot, offense, or the body posture. Can you tell who that is? Okay, and that all is consistent with the very same vehicle we saw at the end that was pulling out, etc. Okay. Can I ask about a different subject matter? You're Payton's roommate, yes? And you were Payton's roommate in the fall of 2025. And in the fall of 2025, Michael started to hang out at your place at your guys' invitation. Would you agree? I'm sorry, Payton's invitation, and even spending the night. Would you agree? And the three of you were pretty good friends. Would you agree? Well, you referred to him as sister husband, right?
Something being started, I just go along with it to make her happy.
Oh, okay. Well, you're pretty defensive of Payton. Is that correct or not correct? Well, just the way you answered that question, let me ask you this. Did you ever put a sticker on Mr. Clark's locker? Do you know who did? Did you see it happen? You ever supply information to another person about a biohazard sticker being placed on his locker? Did you ever tell anyone you did do this?
Well, Peyton that I had heard someone else that did it.
Did you tell her you did it? Do you know who? Strike that. Would you have known Mr. Clark's high school nickname? Have you ever heard the nickname Tobus? Have you ever heard Payton circulate that to anyone else? Have you ever heard do you know anything about this case in terms of its case number? Do you have any idea what's the date on the complaint of this case? Okay. Have any idea what any of the court dates were? Have you ever heard Payton exchange that information to anyone else, you or anyone else? Is it fair to say, being roommates, you and Payton are like probably the closest she's the closest of your work friends? Okay. Thank you. I have nothing else.
Biohazard sticker, had you seen it? You have not seen it?
No.
Did management at HVA talk to you about it at all? by HR? About the sticker?
Yes.
When you were questioned, did they show you the sticker?
No.
Just questioning about the sticker never showed it to you. Go ahead.
Man, when you say you saw the defendant running, would that have been, well, let me phrase the question this way. You saw the video that defense counsel played to refresh your recollection, correct? Did that capture the entirety of what you observed? The running that you saw, when did that happen in relation to the video?
It started as soon as it was going towards inside the door.
And perhaps if we need to, we can put the video back up. After the vehicle well, I don't know if I'll need it just yet, but after the vehicle comes back around, comes to a stop, were you able to see Payton at any point at that point? In the video, were you able to see her? All right. And so it's after then that you're saying is when you saw the running?
I guess I'm trying to figure out when this full sprint was. I see in the video, we see the ambulance basically come toward the camera, correct? An individual then approaches that from this court's perspective looks like Mr. Clark, right? From my observation, and at some point they're along the side of that ambulance, right? Is it from that point that the sprint happens?
One Payton is outside of the ambulance door and halfway in the garage door to the side that's not the actual garage door. That's when he tried to get closer.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, yes.
One question. Distance from the door of the ambulance that pulled up to the front door of HVA. Hold on, I'm not done. I'm going to approach you and you say closer, further, okay?
Maybe up there.
Okay, and I would estimate that's about 8 to 9 feet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else from either side?
No, Your Honor.
Nice step down. Thank you.
This witness be excused? I don't know.
I don't have to vote.
This witness may be excused.
And Your Honor, people call no further witnesses and would rest at this time.
Your Honor,
But it depends. Or you may.
Your Honor, I'm moving for a directed verdict at this time. I realize the bench trial, but in the court. Specific. 6.419 D. It says that a judge in a bench trial can render a directed verdict, not on the traditional standard, but by saying the people's proofs didn't make it beyond reasonable doubt. Weirdly, inexplicably, in the scope rules, that rule doesn't seem to be included in the district court rules. Why? Because most of the bench trials happen in district court. I've actually talked to the SEAO. Nobody can explain the oversight. And one day before I actually die or retire, I'm going to make sure that gets fixed. But the point is, it's what I call the cut to the chase rule, because it allows a judge to say, instead of even on traditional standards of no reasonable minds can differ, look, if it's not there, it's not there. I'm asking the court to use that standard, but even the other standard, I don't think the people have met their burden. All of this requires a state of mind that somebody actually possessed the state of mind that Ms. Tropha tried to display or tell people she had, but none of it was so. It wasn't so because the span of time from 2/5 to 2/12 really shrinks down to those 2 days and those 2 contacts. It really does. They're going back and forth on other things, including the return of his property. And she doesn't but the way that we know I'm right, Your Honor, and what I think you can use in making and granting this verdict, directed verdict, is the cuteness in what she tried to be. What do I mean by cuteness? Playing cute, insultingly. She started that on February 22nd. I didn't think she'd dare continue to today, but she did. She told the police, "We didn't date, but just for a few weeks." How his reaction was crazy. And then even getting, she continued that in court under oath before Your Honor, and even getting to that, she tried to parse it out. Well, sexually romantic and dating is a very different thing. I called him my boyfriend in December, but we weren't dating. She still maintained that. She was cute about the presence in the locker. Didn't do that. And then when I refreshed her, okay, she didn't remember. Oh, no, I didn't leave a present for his locker because I gave it to him. Well, you started by putting it in your locker, right? Yes, that's where you intended to find. Yes. This goes to witness credibility in her true state of mind at the time. She used terms today like speed walking. Well, that's what I think it was, speed walking. When she told the police on 2 separate occasions he chased after her. And on today, thankfully, she told the truth about February 7th. He didn't chase after her. He came up, knocked on the door, said, "Can I speak to you?" She got out and talked to him. It was just not even close to what she told law enforcement. I think that it's fair to say she played cute with Your Honor when you kept trying to figure out how come she contacted the police and when. And then she finally answered, okay, well, the HR told me to make the report, and she clarified as to when, but we had to poll for that information. How about this one? Did you contact him while you were on vacation? No. You sure? Didn't? No, absolutely not. You didn't? You didn't text him? No, I didn't. Well, let me refresh your memory. Oh, yeah, no. That's because my friend, whatever. I mean, she played so cute with that and tried to actually say that her reaching out to him in text messages at first wasn't really a reach out. You couldn't have been clearer in your questions. I couldn't have been clearer in the questions. All of this adds up to what her true state of mind was. In fact, what's really a tragic thing here, Your Honor, is the lack of investigation of this case that could have supported so many things. But thankfully, I think we've established them here, consistent with my opening. She was annoyed maybe a little bit, but having a broken heart and being wrongfully accused of something isn't criminal. I mean, here's a guy who had this great relationship, or he thought he did, and he's trying to talk to her and vindicate his name. And it turns out that the person who quote unquote whistle blew on him confessed. She confessed. I lied. I made the whole thing up. She's an interferer in the relationship. And how we get I say it's a 2-day period, at maximum it's a week, but it really isn't, because there weren't continuous contacts, to stalking on a criminal level. I think on the people's most favorable interpretation of the evidence, it just isn't there. But now I want to talk to that lack of evidence. There are so many points here that could have been helped by this case. The February 7 video that I was not able to get, and tried, and law enforcement didn't try until April, and then they said, oh, it's no longer available. Nobody ever tried to get the February 11th video except us, and I had to go through Honigman lawyers representing HVA to get them only last night. Law enforcement has far greater authority than me, and they could have gotten that. And how about this one? The text message, the screenshot, I'm sorry. She provided all text messages to law enforcement. What about on February 22nd, it was communicated to police that she called him that night. What's the follow-up on that? Where's the evidence of that? How come nobody has to look at her phone? Because had she called him on February 2nd, Your Honor, and she doesn't deny that there's an incidence of her phone calling of her phone, she just can't explain it. That also goes to her state of mind. Lastly, Your Honor, the biohazard sticker. Okay, there was dancing around that sticker. Your Honor had a hard time getting a direct answer. I had a hard time getting a direct answer, but who could possibly have populated those fields of information other than Ms. Tropha? Now, maybe she supplied it to somebody else to do that. But she also told us today, before I showed her anything, she expressed knowledge of every detail that was in it. The case number to the SM, the nickname, the dates, the pretrial date. And then she said she's never seen it. And then she even said that HR never told her what in it specifically. Stop it. So, Your Honor, on any standard by which you have it, before I call law enforcement and not only ask them what they were told and why they were led to believe the case was A when it was really B, and then more importantly, what they did not do, I'm asking the court to essentially cut to the chase and grant the motion for directed verdict. This is not a credible witness, and the only thing I think you can reasonably believe is that she wasn't of the state of mind that's required by the very limited context.
But if I were to rule on your motion for a directed verdict, I have to take all of that evidence, maybe rightfully or not, in the light most favorable to the non-moving party. That would be the people.
I actually think the drafters of that rule think otherwise, but I admit what I said. So
Which rule? 4.
6.419, which says if you think the proofs aren't here beyond reasonable doubt.
Right. However,
Yeah,
you're also right as to its applicability here in district court, which just I don't understand it myself. So,
but even still, yes, Your Honor, that's the traditional measure. And even still, I just don't think that it suffices.
Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would agree that the proper standard here is light most favorable to the people under 6.001 and the applicability of the court rules cited by defense counsel. I think the court, viewing the evidence in the light most favorable to the people, could find a verdict of guilty here, frankly, based off of the text messages alone. On February 5th, the very first text message, the victim is saying, I can't do this anymore, Michael. I'm not doing this again. This is nothing but pain and suffering. February 9th, the victim again texts the defendant. I have told you once and I will tell you again, I do not want to talk to you nor have a conversation about any of this. And then a little bit later that same day, I will not talk to you anymore nor text. And I expect the same again on February 9th. I will tell you once more, I do not want to talk. End of story. On February 9th, the defendant responded saying, I'm sorry that you don't want anything to do with me or this conversation, but I just needed peace. I think that's an acknowledgement that he understood that the victim didn't want to have any communication with him and that she wanted no more contact, but he persisted anyway in sending many more text messages. Again, on February 9th, the victim told the defendant, I thought I was very clear in my multiple statements of I don't want to talk. This is all I have to say. Again, please leave me alone. Fast forwarding to February 11th, the defendant admits to leaving coffee in the locker for the victim. On February 11th, the defendant also says, I'm going home. Don't worry. Not going to have to deal with me anymore. I believe that shows that the defendant had that altercation in the parking lot, while the exact nature of what happened in that parking lot on a different standard may be up for review. I think in the light most favorable to the prosecution, that the victim felt afraid of that interaction. The testimony of the victim, as well as Angel, shows that at least afterwards in the resupply room, the victim was shaking. She was emotional. She was on the verge of crying, I believe was Angel's testimony. I think on page 14 of People's Exhibit 1, the defendant says, I know you hate me for sending that. Thank you. If you read it, you don't need to reply. I know you won't. So he knows that this is causing her distress, but continues to reach out and recognizes that he's doing it for his own gain so that he can find peace while denying her peace. I believe, like most favorable to the prosecution, a directed verdict of acquittal would not be appropriate, and I would ask this court continue and hear evidence from the defense before rendering a judgment.
Yeah, the problem is that that's cherry picking. Mr. Cook was reading those February 9th messages and then he left this part out. When I said you could try and I wouldn't, that meant I'm trying not to reconcile this, and no matter what you do from now, there will be no second chances. And that string ended with, I did not understand that's what you meant by you could try. Everything up to that point, Your Honor, is an exchange that is not, don't do this. She was told him, she acknowledged, you can keep trying. I'm not going to fight for this. You can. And he did, and he tried. And after that, there's a single text on February 10th. I hope you're doing all right. Have a great day. And then February 11th, we all know what happened on February 11th. Your Honor, I don't think under any standard that made stalking. I just, there are some behaviors that can be annoying. There are some behaviors that can be whiny and maybe, no offense to people, wimpy or whatever. When we do things with a broken heart, Lord knows, I tell clients all the time, don't make admissions. So I'm not going to make the admissions of things I've done, but it doesn't mean they're criminal stalking. That's a different standard. That's something different. And that's why I say under any standard, this should be, the motion should be. Also, I know Mr. Cook left out the whole phone call thing on the 22nd. I think if any fair interpretation of the facts is that she placed a call to my client on the very day she reported this to the police. Also,
Well, I'm listening to everything. The one thing that was sort of remarkable is Mr. Simon's belief that he has a heart to be broken. All right. So, what, and I do absolutely agree, actually with both sides. I think the standard that I have to apply is I have to take the evidence in light most favorable to the non-moving party, that being the people ruling on this. When I look at it, and while it might be slim, I think a reasonable fact finder, were they to believe certain things, could conclude that the offense of stalking, I mean, barely, it meant that, but barely, could make that finding regarding stalking, for the reasons as stated by the people. And so for those reasons, I will deny the motion, and we can proceed on. I am going to take a very brief break to decide whether or not defense wants to put on it.
that's.
So the court will stand in back on the record in the case of the people versus Michael Clark. Are there any witnesses for the defense?
No, Your Honor, defense.
All right. Closing arguments.
Thank you. And I'll keep this brief, as the court had just heard arguments on the motion for directed verdict. And I would incorporate the arguments made there, except as it relates to the standard of proof, in my closing arguments. Outside of that, I know the court heard a lot of contradicting testimony today. Contradictions both from internally with their own testimony, as well as some contradictions between what the witnesses testified to, and contradictions between what the witnesses testified to, as well as some videos that were shown. I'm not asking the court to overlook those contradictions, but what I think is not contradicted, and frankly was difficult to contradict in general, are the text messages that were sent and the communications in real time as they were happening. I know I already went over the text messages contained within People's Exhibit 1, and while opposing counsel says I cherry-picked some of those, I was emphasizing some of them. I would invite the court, if the court feels appropriate, to read through all those messages again to get the sense that Payton was having, and the ongoing attempts to cease this communication, this contact, that were not respected by the defendant and his recognitions thereof. As it relates to People's Exhibit 3, the text messages that Payton sent to her supervisor when this incident, or right after this incident occurred, I think it's telling that she says, "I'm shaking and he won't leave me alone." I think that goes to her state of mind, that she really was afraid of and concerned by this defendant. I think adding in the context that she is a young, I believe she said 20-year-old woman at night walking to her rig on her own with a man, her ex, following her, who she had told not to have contact, but he's following her. I believe that would put a reasonable person in fear and would lead to that feeling of intimidation, threatening, harassing, molesting, etc. All the language that the court is aware of in the jury instructions that the people have to prove. Normally, again, I would walk through each one of the elements and what evidence shows those elements beyond a reasonable doubt have been met, but I know the court has listened very attentively to all the testimony and the court knows all of the elements. So I would just ask the court consider all of that when rendering its judgment, and I would ask the court find the defendant guilty of stalking. Thank you.
Mr. Simon.
Just really briefly, I'm not going to repeat what I said on the motion for directed verdict because that was essentially a closing argument. I just want to say in terms of the last argument from the people, and if Ms. Tropha in fact communicated she was shaking, I don't know that we have to accept that that was truly occurring, or that there was really a reflection of a state of mind of fear or terror, because it could have been a reflection of the emotion of the situation, that this is the second time they'd seen each other since the breakup only 6 days earlier of a strong and steady relationship until somebody interfered with it, and interfered with in kind of a vile way. And also, Your Honor, in my opening statement, I said we got to this place because there's a great amount of embellishment, and I believe the proofs supported that. And, you know, the duration of the relationship, what it was really like, the gift giving, what it was told to the police, what it was really like, how about this one? How she got onto his shift. I'd forgotten that in my list of cute, what I say, cute things, or playing cute things, how I phrased it. I'd forgotten that one, and I don't know how I'd forgotten that, because that one, Your Honor, is a multi-layered onion. Just to refresh the court, she didn't just say that he was responsible for the bid switch. She said that was before they were dating, false. She said she had no control over it, false, because she accomplished it. And she then said because she was only a D-lister. In other words, I couldn't do anything about that. Then, of course, she acknowledges that, yes, it was her, but she didn't even answer that question. And that really goes to her credibility. And then when pressed further, she said, yeah, 2 weeks later, I did express my happiness that he did turn down the other job that would have kept us from being on the same shift. Your Honor, the true state of mind was this. It's what she said, and it's responded to the court's question. It was, I reported this to HR. They said, when we got back from vacation, they brought me in. They said, you're probably going to want to make a police report. She did make the police report, but the report she made and the truth were two very divergent things. They were embellishments. And I say to Your Honor that what I said in the motion, from February 5th through 9th, he's doing what she authorized him to do, fight for the relationship. And February 10 and 11 are really why we're here. I don't think that meets, by the reasonable doubt standard, the elements of stalking, because it's not a willful course of conduct. Willful course of conduct to harass another person, and there were no threats or any other adjectives in that are in the statute. So I asked the court to find him.
Anything else? All right. The court listened very closely to the testimony. I don't think there's really an issue as to the elements of stalking and what those comprise and what they can comprise. The real question in this case is a belief by the court that what was going on here was that the defendant was indeed stalking Payton. Yeah. Frankly put, I don't believe that the defendant had the intent to stalk her. I don't believe that the defendant, even by his actions and what he said, did indeed stalk her. I think what happened here, and I think it's probably an appropriate term that Mr. Simon put forth, that there's all of this embellishment to make it look as though this is something far beyond what it is. And it's not until this process that Payton and, quite frankly, Lewis in terms of some of her statements, gets called on to get called to task as to what's really being said. Mr. Simon called it being cued. I think that when you're in a court, you testify as to certain things that you indeed have to tell the truth for what it is. The contact with the police and with HR prior to vacation, when I started pointing out the dates, he began sort of obfuscating when exactly she could have contacted, somebody advising her to contact, but then she's on this vacation and she doesn't do it until at some point she comes back, and then somebody from HR does something, tells her to do that. Could have happened that way. I don't think it necessarily happened that way. I also think that had she been in great fear, HVA would have done something very different, and that she would have contacted the police if she believed that this individual posed that kind of threat. But you look at what she was trying to do. Going to make this relationship as short as possible so that there's no explanation as to what might be the defendant's behavior vis-a-vis me. So that if I lessen what this was, he shouldn't be acting this way because it was really nothing. We spent all of the time questioning the length of the relationship. It was very clear that it was January. Just said January, which would have made this basically a month or a little over a month long relationship, only to find out that this relationship then went back, covered two major holidays, well, including New Year's. I mean, but just covered Thanksgiving, Christmas, certainly, may have gone back to Halloween, but certainly Thanksgiving and Christmas. And all of those things were covered. But then when caught on that, on the time, she wanted to play a game. And this is the court resented it, quite frankly, of playing game as to what kind of relationship this was. Was it a romantic relationship? Was it successful? She kept using these words to try to again say that, yeah, while we knew each other, it wasn't that. And then finally, it just had to come down to, we spent, in my opinion, a great deal of time trying to sort that out. And the court had to specify particularly that it was it was a romantic relationship and a sexual relationship. And finally, she had to answer yes. I don't know why that couldn't have been answered at the very beginning. The exaggeration of the gifts being sent was also hugely problematic, particularly if it's relayed to the police that he keeps sending me gifts, but he's sending Valentine's gifts that he's already ordered and she knows they're coming. It's almost as though what she's doing at that point is attempting to try to set him up. That all of a sudden these gifts will come in and now he's going to have to go back and he's going to have to show that he ordered these well before any type of breakup. But quite frankly, I think that if it had come down to that, your breakup would have occurred at a different point, because I think she moved the calendar to fit what she wants to show. The other part, because I also believe that not only was this victim, and I'm not one in the victim bashing, I think that if somebody were truly the victim of stalking and somebody's doing something like that to them, that ought be clearly, it should be, that person should be held accountable. But by the same token, when somebody's attempting to try to then say you're doing these things, and this will happen in workplace relationships, to attempt to try to damage not just this relationship, which may have fallen apart and it's nothing there, but also just to damage the ability to work. Your employment, whether it be that employment, your future employment, and the like. I said the things that I'm not happy with what was said to the court, but I think they were outright lies. And I'll just put it bluntly in regard to the work schedule. Even when called on that, she listened to it, she tried to go around on that, tried to find a way out of it until, to his credit, Mr. Simon got her pinned to the point that she couldn't say anything else. But yeah, okay, that's right. Shouldn't take that much for somebody to just tell the truth. Other problem, the bio sticker and the label. This is where I had problems both with Payton's as well as Miss Lewis's testimony. I think they were, I don't believe for one moment that two people got called into HR, four supervisors, questioned about an item that they've never seen. That makes absolutely no sense. And I don't even know how they could then speak on it. But then you listen to Payton, and she's going through each of the things that is on it of something that she has never seen, been questioned about, but has never seen. Do I believe that? Absolutely not. I think she came before this court. I think she lied. I think Miss Lewis was complicit in that lie. And she was going to try to do anything for whatever the reason. And I'm not saying, Mr. Clark, I don't know you. I don't know if you're an angel or not. I don't know any of that. But what was clear to me in this case is there was this attempt to try to destroy you in some way. Regrettably, in that whole thing, which also is really problematic to me, all of that starts from your ex-wife. Because all of this just flows from there, and it just becomes this thing that, frankly, doesn't make the whole thing doesn't make any sense. Taking anything that you do, and going back to Payton, taking anything that you do when you're looking at trying to contact her regarding retrieving your property on the 12th, well, all of a sudden that turns into your stalking. No, I'm trying to get my property. I'm trying to make it clear. I'm trying to make it clear as to when I can do it and what I can do and everything. That doesn't make it stalking. I don't know that. And again, I don't know where the line is often drawn, but usually one can tell that when a relationship breaks up, parties may want to try to find a way to get it back together. I'm not even sure at the beginning of this breakup that it was a breakup. I'm glad I'm not here to call that. Because I think if you tell somebody, yeah, we've been together, but I'm mad at you about whatever I'm mad at you. I'm not working on it, but you go ahead and do it if you want to. That means you've got to somehow, what that says to me, maybe in my old-fashioned way, is that says you got to somehow or another woo me. You got to win back my trust. You got to do that. And then you go about trying to do that. And then next thing you know, it's not working. And then she just says, it doesn't matter what you do. I'm going to make it clear what I meant, which I think given her testimony here, I don't think that that's what she meant at the beginning. I think it's something that changed. And it changed to try to get you to do something. Well, this court's not going to have any part of that. And, just plain and simple, she wanted to put you into the system for whatever the reason. And you had a whole lot of folks out there just mad at you. So sometimes I just say be careful. For those reasons, the court does not believe that people have sustained their burden, haven't shown, frankly, in this court's mind, the major elements of stalking. So for those reasons, the court would find that the defendant is not guilty of this charge. The defendant is further released and discharged from any further obligation to this court. Thank you.
Okay, approach to retrieve the exhibits.
Yes.
Maybe I'm sorry. Raymond, I'll wait for you.
Talk to your client.
Right.
They're out. Did everybody else clear out there?
Yes, everyone else was.
Okay. Okay. And that being all I have, 14A, Stan.
The alleged victim takes the stand and describes the relationship, breakup, continued messages, workplace encounters, and incidents that she says caused her fear. She also discusses the coffee left in her locker and communications involving her workplace. As her testimony unfolds, the court must weigh her account against the defense's earlier challenges and the disputed timeline, leaving the judge with conflicting evidence to consider before reaching a final decision.